It was 2:17 in the morning, and my bedroom looked exactly like it always did. Dark curtains, an unmade bed, a glass of water beside my laptop. Then my phone screen flickered. I was holding it in my hand, and for half a second, I saw my bedroom reflected across the glass. Except the angle was wrong. I could see myself sitting on the edge of the bed. From behind, I froze. I raised my hand. The reflection raised its hand a moment later. I whispered, "Whoever was watching me was watching through my phone." My thought was a glitch, a camera error, anything except the obvious. Then I noticed something that made my stomach drop. The camera indicator wasn't on, and if I hadn't checked one tiny detail, I probably would have blamed everything on a software bug that I used it for everything. Messages, YouTube, banking, photos, social media. It was the first thing I checked in the morning and the last thing I touched before sleeping. Like most people, I trusted it without thinking about it. Then things started changing. The battery began dying before dinner. Sometimes the phone felt warm even when I wasn't using it. I noticed microphone permissions switching on and off by themselves. Once, the camera app appeared in my recent activity even though I hadn't opened it. Then notifications started disappearing. One appeared while I was brushing my teeth. I saw the first few words on the lock screen, but by the time I picked up the phone, there was nothing there. I checked the notification history. Nothing. The phone also froze occasionally when I was doing something ordinary. I blamed the battery, because apparently every problem in modern life is either the battery or Wi-Fi. I didn't know it then, but that was the first time my phone tried to warn me that I opened the front camera. My face appeared normally. I switched to the rear camera. My bedroom appeared normally too. I checked camera permissions, recently used apps, and background processes. Nothing explained what I'd seen. Then I noticed the tiny black circle beside the front camera. I had owned this phone for almost 2 years. I knew where the sensors were. That circle hadn't been there before. Or at least, I didn't remember it. I searched online for hidden cameras inside smartphones. At first, the results were ordinary warnings. Then I found old forum threads about modified phones, spyware, and tiny cameras installed beneath screens. Most posts were deleted. One wasn't. A user claimed some devices could be modified without leaving obvious signs. I almost laughed until I remembered the image. I called my friend Daniel, who repaired phones. "Send me a picture of the phone," he said. I took one and sent it. He replied immediately. "Where did you get this?" "It's mine." "What?" He didn't answer. Then another message appeared. "Don't turn the phone off yet." That was when I stopped thinking about malware. Because if Daniel was afraid of the phone being switched off, I was afraid to ask what would happen if I did. I placed the phone on my desk and stepped away. For a few seconds, nothing happened. The screen stayed black. I felt ridiculous standing across my own bedroom, staring at a phone like it was going to blink at me. "If someone is watching me," I said, "move the camera." Nothing. I laughed quietly. "Yeah, thought so." I turned toward the window. When I looked back, the phone was still on the desk, but the camera angle had changed. It was pointing directly at me. I stopped smiling. I picked it up, checked the camera, then placed it down again. This time, I covered the lens with my thumb. 3 seconds passed. The phone vibrated. A message appeared from an unknown number. "Don't cover the lens." My mouth went dry. I typed, "Who are you?" The reply arrived almost instantly. "You've already met US." I stared at those 4 words until the screen dimmed. I was alone in my bedroom. I could hear the refrigerator humming down the hallway, traffic passing outside, the ordinary sounds of a normal night. But somehow, I no longer felt alone. The phone wasn't simply transmitting something anymore. Someone was actively interacting with me, and they knew exactly what I was doing. The messages kept coming. "Don't remove the camera. Don't factory reset the phone. Don't show anyone the screen. Don't ask who is watching. And finally, never sleep with the phone facing you. I read the list twice. Then I typed, "Why?" The response appeared almost immediately. "Because you won't like what you see." That should have made me throw the phone into the street. Instead, I did exactly what terrified people always do. I needed answers. I opened the camera that night and pointed it toward my bedroom. At first, everything looked normal. My bed, my desk, the dark window. Then I noticed something standing behind my bed. A person. I stopped breathing. I turned around. Nothing. The room was empty. I looked back at the phone. The figure was still there, except now it was closer. I searched for similar cases and found an obscure forum where people described phones that watched them, cameras that moved, and messages from strangers. Some posts were old. Others vanished. That was when I made the mistake people always make in stories like this. I searched for someone else who had seen it that I spent the next hour digging through forums I probably shouldn't have been able to find. The stories were disturbingly similar. Cameras moving by themselves. Phones recording while powered off. Messages from unknown numbers. People appearing in camera feeds who weren't physically there. And, occasionally, users who simply disappeared after trying to destroy their phones. I kept scrolling until one sentence stopped me. The camera isn't inside the phone. I almost closed the page. It sounded like nonsense. I could hear the kind of thing someone invents after spending too much time online. Then I saw the photograph attached to the post. It showed a phone lying on a wooden desk. My phone. Not literally mine, but the same model, with the same tiny black camera beside the front sensor. Even the modification looked identical. I checked the date. 9 years earlier. I sat there staring at that timestamp, trying to convince myself it was coincidence. Then I remembered something. If you've ever seen one of these posts before, you probably know what comes next. I opened the author's profile. There were no newer posts. No replies. No activity. The account simply stopped existing a few days after the photograph was uploaded. And suddenly, the room around me felt much quieter than before. The strangest part wasn't that the phone was watching me. It was that it started showing me things before they happened. I was sitting on my bed when the screen suddenly lit up. The camera feed showed me standing and opening my bedroom door. I stared at it. Then, without thinking, I stood up and opened the door. Exactly as shown. My hands started shaking. A second clip appeared. Me answering a phone call. Before I could process it, my phone rang. I didn't answer. The screen changed again. This time, the camera showed my bedroom from behind me. Something was standing there. I refused to turn around. Then the unknown number appeared. "You have 3 minutes." I typed, 3 minutes until what? No response. The screen went black. Then a countdown appeared. 2:59, 2:58, 2:57. I watched the numbers fall, unable to move. Whatever was happening, this wasn't surveillance anymore. The phone wasn't showing me where I was. It was showing me what was about to happen. And now I had 3 minutes to find out what happened when the countdown reached 0. The countdown reached 0. The screen went completely black. Then the front camera opened. But it wasn't showing my face. It showed my bedroom from behind me. And someone was standing directly behind my chair. I froze. Every instinct told me to turn around. I didn't. The phone displayed 2 words. "Don't look." My hands went cold. Then something whispered my name. It was so close I felt the air move beside my ear. I squeezed my eyes shut. For several seconds, there was nothing. No footsteps. No breathing. Nothing. When I finally looked behind me, the room was empty. I almost laughed from relief. Then I noticed a new photograph in my gallery. I opened it. It was me sleeping in my bed. The photograph had been taken from inside my bedroom, from an angle near the ceiling. I zoomed in. There was no camera there. My stomach tightened as I checked the timestamp. Tomorrow. Not yesterday. Not tonight. Tomorrow. I stared at the photograph until I understood what that meant. The camera wasn't only watching the present. Whatever was behind it could see what hadn't happened yet. And somehow, it had already taken a picture of me sleeping tomorrow night. I panicked. I tore the phone apart, ripped out what I could, smashed the camera, and threw the pieces into different trash bins blocks away. For the first time in days, I felt safe. I slept. The next morning, my laptop chimed. A notification appeared. "Why did you leave?" It wasn't from my phone. I stared at the laptop screen as its camera suddenly activated. The indicator light stayed dark. My blood ran cold. Another message appeared. "We don't need your phone anymore." Then the camera moved slightly, as if whoever was watching had leaned closer to see me clearly. I don't own a smartphone anymore. I wish I could say that fixed everything. It didn't. While writing this, I noticed my laptop's webcam indicator was dark, but the camera feed was active. I looked into the screen. I didn't move. The screen showed my face from somewhere directly behind me. A voice whispered, "He's looking at us." So before you close this video, check the camera on your device.